Paul enters.
Why?
Cats.
They make you drowsy?
Well, they make it hard for me to breathe.
I'm sorry.
No, I should have thought about
Do you
this.
want me to kill them?
We get a lot of shots. Everybody come to their net. We just have to get more and more pucks to their net.
We used to talk about in Vancouver getting pucks on net and
pucks on net.
Well, that's the key. We got to get the puck on net.
What were you saying about putting pucks on net?
Continue to put pucks on net, and
it's just getting pucks on net.
Pucks on net and driving and making it a hard night on them.
Live on tape from Dave's apartment. His
Swerve.
His
I've never been here before.
What is it? Something friendly confines just off of East Commercial Drive. This is Pucks on Net, a Vancouver hockey podcast. Doesn't talk about fantasy or fancy stats. And
we're live on tape from Commercial Drive on Italian Day.
Yeah, so we there's fettuccine Alfredo all over the place.
So much fettuccine Alfredo.
The Pittsburgh Penguins worked with us in terms of logistics. They wrapped it up at 6. We get to do the podcast on a Sunday night.
And more podcasts for what, 4 months?
We still have like 4 more podcasts to do.
We're not doing the Pucks on Net expansion draft special.
That's coming. That's going to be a hell of a good show.
I actually think that is going to be a good show. We have to do our NHL awards as well, where we do our own awards, which is the same night.
We haven't done that in 4 years.
We're doing it this year. It's like a World Cup, sporadically.
Ooh, I just got a match on Tinder.
Oh.
Well, shit. Maybe we should.
I think, we should do this live. I think Gita's not here, but this is for you, Gita, because you'd appreciate this.
Boys' night in,
hanging brain.
Thanks for joining us wherever you got us from. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at PucksNetCA or PucksNetCa. And if you want to support the show monetarily, you can head on over to patreon.com/pucksonnet. Pledge a couple bucks, and we have a new...
Couple of bucks?
Why haven't I been saying that all year?
I don't know.
Go over to patreon.com, pledge a couple of bucks. And, I haven't seen her yet. We gotta look at this match together.
That's not her?
No. To the left. We have a new backer this week, and it's Andrew from the Bronx, and he's been listening to our show for a long time. He has the first Andrew Paddock, and he has our first shirt that we made.
The text font.
Yeah, the one I won for free in that contest. So he's been listening for a long time, and sometimes when we mention the Islanders, and I say, I wonder what Andrew he's an Islanders fan. I wonder what he thinks. He'll regularly chime in. So he's always been listening. So thank you very much for your $5, your couple of bucks, and it means a lot.
Couple of bucks.
All right, so let's see. Before we go to the...
Well, Andrew's just waiting because the Islanders move to a different borough every year now.
Oh, it's a hockey fan.
Eventually, the Bronx is going to get the Islanders.
Is it a listener?
I don't know. Leanne, 31. She works at Earl's.
I don't think you should be revealing too much information, Ryan. Come on.
She went to University of British Columbia. She's 5 kilometers away from Dave's apartment.
Oh, she's an East Van gal.
She's a cute girl.
She plays fast and loose with the moral. Oh, yeah. Her mom looks nice.
In the
Thumbs up.
I hope that's her mom.
So
good genes.
Post show.
That could be her. The mom could be.
Then really bad genes because then she showed her age.
Mom genes.
So by golly, the Pittsburgh Penguins won the Stanley Cup, guys.
Yes, and we all couldn't be happier because, again, logistics and also you don't bet against Sidney Crosby. The Stanley Cup is in the building. He could smell it. His bulletin board is full of material.
We'll get to that in a second.
How much? I don't even. Do we want to get into that? That was a big conversation.
We'll talk about that.
There's
more important things to talk about.
I missed the start of the last one, so.
Look, can I be brief? Can I have a couple of minutes to go? I'll be really brief. I'm not going to gloat.
You have 30 seconds.
I'll be nice
to say, and then we will talk about this.
So, games 5 and 6, the Nashville Predators didn't score any goals. Before Game 5, in the warm-up, PK Subban, public enemy number 1 in Dave's house, fires the puck into an empty net at the end of warmies, twirls his stick, and holsters it. That was the last time the Nashville Predators put a puck into a Pittsburgh goal. Coincidence? I don't think so.
But that was worse than, I'm still not sure. I missed the start when you talked about it the last
That
one.
was unfortunate for your side of the argument that happened.
The Listerine,
I was like, come on, PK.
The Listerine thing, what was offensive about that?
Nothing.
I still don't get it.
It's not, I don't think that his take wasn't that it was offensive.
No, it got really blown out of proportion on the old Twitterverse. But my original take was just simply that, at this time in your life and at this time in your season, that's probably not the best thing to do because Crosby, especially Sidney Crosby, over the last 10 years of his career of what we've seen, that stuff really does drive him.
He likes it.
What about it? Like, I just don't get. Like,
to
me, it did not even seem like it was directed at Sidney Crosby.
Crosby was offended because he said, Crosby said I had bad breath. Because actually, that never happened. That's completely contrived.
Well, no,
none of it's true.
That was the point of it, though. Like, he was trying to diffuse it because most players would just be like, it got a little heated out there, and that would be that. And then he makes a little joke about it that wasn't really offensive to anyone except maybe himself.
It just spoke, and then if you looked at the highlights of the games too, it highlighted the fact that Subban was going out there and trying to get under Crosby's skin and which does not work. You don't do it with him. With other players, for sure. I think you can get in a guy like Ovi's kitchen, no problem.
Yeah,
just why he doesn't win anything. But like if you look at Crosby, he doesn't even look at him anymore. He just looks right through him. He doesn't even see him. He's like, and there was that other audio that came out where they're jabbing at each other, and Crosby's like, "Who are you?" Like,
this is that was the thing that came out. I think it was Puck Daddy, because Showtime is doing a show about the Stanley Cup Finals, and they had the exact moment on tape, like they recorded it. Of what the interaction was, and it goes like this: prepare for whistles. Subban, hey, fuck you. Crosby, get the fuck out of here. Subban, hey, fuck you. Crosby, hey, get the fuck out of here, you fucking idiot. And that was the extent of it.
But
so I mean, the play I get, I just since everything seemed to be on the podcast and on Twitter from the Listerine stuff, that to me, I'm like, who cares? Like, if any Penguin was offended by that, then their focus would be in question.
Now,
I don't want to say who cares though, because it took it to the next level. He just says, we got into it, next question. But then it became a thing, and then he brought the Listerine in the bag to the rink, which shows where you're like. If for me, it's like it's Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals. I've got like my headphones in and I'm thinking about what I got to do to help my team win the game. I ain't remembering to grab my Listerine as a prop. Ha ha ha. I'm so fucking funny. And you lose the game and you lose Game 6. Your team didn't even score a fucking goal.
Did he bring it? Was it Game 5 or was it 3 or 4?
That was Game 4.
It was 4. It was still in Nashville.
Well, nevertheless, it just shows a complete lack of focus.
It just shows he's not taking it seriously. And we're not going to talk about this whole show, but it's like, I'll wrap it up here. But it's like if a Pittsburgh Penguin sees him, he's not taking this seriously. Well, maybe he'll take this a little more seriously. And it's not the bulletin board material. Like there wasn't Mike Sullivan in the Penguins dressing room saying, "This son of a bitch making up lies about our beautiful captain's breath."
That's not what I was saying. But what I was saying was like, don't make yourself an enemy of Sidney Crosby, because if you look at the teams that he torches, and there's audio and there's all over YouTube, and you can find it. It's like,
and Crosby is a guy that kind of goes to sleep if people leave him alone.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be one of the few.
Yeah.
I still think he's, if not the best player in the game, one of the top 2 or 3.
Oh,
so I'm not trying to but he is the type of guy that has disappeared for moments of seasons and playoff series. So I'm totally with you on that page. I listened to it after the Listerine stuff, and I saw the Twitter exchange with you and some fans, and I was commenting, but I was like, I just didn't get the Listerine bit. That to me,
do you think
it grew from there? Though I will totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, but do you guys think though, like both of you, do you think that this also speaks? We'll get off Subban in a second, but like, does his antics in the Stanley Cup Final kind of speak volumes to you about why Montreal let him go and why he was passed over for Patches as captain? Like clearly, to me,
there's something there, and we can't.
There's something there, and he'll never ever get that letter on his sweater. I don't think. Do you guys think that's like? Is there something to that? Can he be a leader?
I think that to sound like the old man, this is your learning experience when you go, okay, maybe
he'll learn from it. You're right.
And we're all at the table. We all really like PK Subban. He's a hell of a hockey player.
All kidding aside, the game's better with him than without.
Yeah.
And I do like the way he plays. I think he's a terrific hockey player, but he's got to cut the crap.
Well, when you're playing against Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
The play part of it, yeah. I don't mind him joking off the ice. It's not related to the game. It's a couple of little cracks about Listerine or whatever.
Yeah. But
I'm in the room. Guys make jokes all the time when they're answering questions after the game, even if they lose sometimes. Mm-hmm. I know this is a bigger stage, but
For me, it was firing the puck into the empty net and then twirling the stick. Like it's that you're asking for trouble. There's nothing good can come of that. When you do shit I
don't like that. But to be fair, I have seen a lot of guys do that at the end of skates in the regular season.
And it's every single one of them is stupid. Like it's not going to help your team win. It's just going to piss the other guys off.
And at that stage, it's a little different than like game 48.
You got to be.
You and me are the only two guys watching, and we're kind of like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
Again, it's a subtle thing. No one else is really noticing it. But, yeah, it left a sour taste in my mouth. Now, that being said, on to the positives. How about them Penguins?
We brought this up, I think, on the Stu show, but it's like in the Cap era, when you win back-to-back Stanley Cups, it's impressive.
Holy shit.
Elliot Friedman had a great tweet that I saw when we were leaving to go get pizza. He tweets, the 6 defense who dressed for Pittsburgh in the Cup Final have never received a Norris vote, ever. And it's the first time a champion has ever done that.
Yeah, like when Justin Schultz, who was a Edmonton castaway, is your anchor. And you got a rookie goalie. A rookie goalie's got 2 Stanley Cup rings.
Could Schultz wind up in Vegas, though? Like, everyone keeps saying it's Fleury. Schultz would be the attractive guy, I think, based on the like TSN projection.
27 years old. The money isn't big. It's not going to be small, but it's not going to be huge.
I'm starting to think that Fleury is going to get traded because there is a market for that, and he is
there?
Not really.
In Calgary.
There's too many goalies. That's been a problem in recent years, and I don't know if they're gonna.
He's got a buzz behind him.
You could theoretically come out of that draft losing Schultz, and you've still got Fleury on your roster going into the draft,
and you trade him
to give him away for nothing and do the Brizgalov or whatever. Where the GM's just like, I'm just going to give him a shot.
What's Calgary doing right now?
They're pissing off the fan base and the city and the mayor, and they're threatening to move. So maybe he'll get traded to for the time being, Calgary Flames.
And people are shouting from crowds at Brian Burke to put his tie up.
This is a good one. We'll talk about this in a second.
The Seattle Fire.
No, the Quebec Nordique.
The Quebec La Flamme.
What do you guys take away from? I mean, the Stanley Cup Final just happened. It's the hardest trophy to win. The Conn Smythe is the coolest trophy to win. What is something that you take away?
I think Stanley Cup's cooler.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it's
individual trophy.
Individual trophy.
Okay.
I love the Conn Smythe.
Everybody likes a good Lady Bing.
Except the guys that win it.
Was that Lester B. Pearson Awards? Well, that used to be the Ted Lindsay
That's such
Award.
a Canuck Award, the Lester B. Pearson. That's such a Sedin trophy to win.
What do you take away from the Pittsburgh Penguins Stanley Cup win, Paul?
I mean, going into it, I think almost everybody I know picked the Pens to win. It doesn't take away from the fact that they did it with a. I don't want to say weak defense, but not like an all-star studded defense. It's a serviceable defense.
But when you have
some good guys back there, but they did it. And Nashville is a good team. But it was one I was sort of just like waiting for it to happen. So
Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Pittsburgh to take it.
Yeah.
It's great to see. There is a huge accomplishment in winning back-to-back trophies. No one's done it since the Wings, 97 and 98. It was cool to see that and to still see the emotion on the faces of the Penguins when they clinched it. A lot of them already have cups. A couple it was nice to see that didn't.
Yeah.
But the guys on the bench celebrating and in tears and stuff that already had a ring on their finger, it still means a lot to these guys, and that was really cool to see.
We're not quite at that New York Islanders moment where they've got their 5 or 4 or 5 in a row.
I was just going to say, that was going to be what I took away from the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah.
This is not their swan song. They're not done.
No, and I mean, Dave, you brought up the good point. We were watching the game, or when they're celebrating, it's like, is Jim Rutherford is he a genius? Is he the best GM in the NHL right now? And he's doing a pretty damn good job.
Because they had this core, and this is why everybody's like, oh, they got Crosby, they got Malkin, whatever. I'm like, they had these guys for a while, and not much went on. Like they won in 2009, and then there was just nothing for like 6 years.
Well, they're still a good team,
of course.
Yeah,
they
weren't winning
finishing it.
They weren't winning anything, and then he comes in and he gets them wingers. Wingers
that can skate along with them and they can keep up and are smart, understand they have the good hockey IQ to play with Sidney.
That Phil Kessel trade might have been one of the best trades in NHL history for one team. And Phil didn't have to change his output. His numbers didn't really go up. In fact, they probably went down a little bit.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have to be the man. And he's got great chemistry with Malkin. Then you get these college ball free agents that you get out of nowhere.
They're obviously doing a good job scouting. They've been drafting well. They've been signing guys out of college.
Ryan's mentioned this before. The guy who almost should get 2 Stanley Cup rings.
Is there NCAA? Whoever is in
whoever that man is. You find me that man.
I was and I wanted to learn more about who is there, and like you go on the Penguin site, and it lists scouts, but it doesn't really say where that scout's going. Like, but I would love. Does it?
Wherever you are right now, NCAA scout man, Pittsburgh Penguins, you should drink a little harder than most tonight, and put your arms around Brian Rust and Connor Sheary and whoever else you got over there, Jake Gensel.
Well, some people are giving credit appropriately. I think not all of it, but to Sidney Crosby with these young guys coming in, and there's something to be said about a guy like that sets the example, that has their respect. These are guys that, and we think, Crosby is still a relative kid in the world. He's not a super old guy, but he's a guy that they were watching when they were like 10, 11, 12 years old.
And he's been there and done that.
Ripping it up, and they are running through walls for him because they love this guy. It's like we would more think maybe Wayne Gretzky or Mario Lemieux as, our generation or
Trevor
whatever.
Linden,
but these guys get to play with a hockey god. And that just gives you a little extra something. And he obviously, just in playing with them, is a guy that makes people around them better.
Turning the conversation to Sid, what do we do with Sidney Crosby now? He had another concussion in the playoffs. That's a lot of concussions.
I don't know what
he's won everything. You're not going to get Gretzky's records. They're too it's the 80s hockey. They're using Road Warrior pads. Like you ain't going to match those totals. But like in the modern era, like he's probably the best player of our generation.
Well, he just proved it tonight.
Forecheck and back check, bud. Like you got nothing left to prove. If he comes back, fine. If he retires this summer, I get it. Like, I don't think he will. I don't think there's any chance of that at all.
Has anyone been talking about that, though?
Not really.
I don't think that's
other than
a
on
possibility.
I've heard it on Barstools a lot around town, and I don't think it's the worst idea in the world. A friend of mine last night I was having dinner with, who's a doctor, was saying, yeah, he probably should just quit, honestly. You're 29 years old. Go and do a million other different things. But Crosby is a hockey player.
He's not he doesn't play that superstar role where he can not get hit.
No, he's a gritty two-way.
That's when he's effective.
Yes.
You saw him scoring all those goals against Ottawa and against Washington, and he's down there, mucking in front of the net. So he couldn't become Connor McDavid or Steven Stamkos.
But how worried are you guys about his health? Is this something that you guys worry about with him?
I think the whole time you were saying this, and it's like, should he retire? I'm like, well, as long as he doesn't, horribly, injure himself for the long term, where he has concussion syndromes like Pronger or Lindros. So it's like everything he does, every concussion he takes, but also every concussion he gets, but everything he wins, that's the question. Like, oh, geez, I really hope he can keep doing this. And I really hope that he's not going to be sitting in the dark room the rest of his life.
That's what I worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you put yourself in his shoes, I don't know. Honestly, 29 years old, I'd still be like, well, just, play it year by year. Another year or two, definitely, and then maybe retire early. Honestly, if you were in those shoes, if I could take a step back from the outside, I could totally see the point of view. But if you're in that spot and you can keep winning, and you go, well, you got a good team around me, I play a little less, play a little safer, you tell yourself, oh, I'm not going to take as many risks. You're still going to.
Yeah, but
if you're Sidney
I was going to say, it's not in his DNA. He is a thoroughbred.
That's the thing. He's going to be able to tell himself, whatever he needs to tell himself, and then be able to come back for another year and another year, and at least stick it out to 33, 34 when a lot of guys are sort of retiring by that age, unless they're really good players or, still putting up decent numbers or whatever. But I don't see him retiring until at least his mid-30s, just because he's a player, he's a warrior, and maybe that's not the best thing health-wise.
No.
If Jimmy Rutherford can build a team where Sidney can it's almost impossible to fill that void, but if he can play a role where he doesn't have to be that gritty guy, and then you can have that superstar effect on him again, where it's like, all right, we don't hit Sid, then maybe, but if he's not playing, it's very hard to replace that, and for him to play a third, a diminished role that he's not producing the way he is.
Scare the rest of the league.
Nah, man, he's going to be like James Dean. He's going to burn out hot.
Well, the other
thing, he's not going to fade away.
That's the fear.
The other thing Jimmy Rutherford said was he's so pissed off at the Liberties and how much abuse Crosby gets. And I mean, like, you know, he's playing hard. And he's like, you know what? Maybe we're just going to have to waste a roster spot and bring in Tom Sestito. Or he didn't name him, but he's like bringing back goons and going.
Dave Semenko's coming back. He's super old, but he can still bang. It's just actually leave Schreiber as Ross the Boss Ray.
I could go. On the injury front, I got another. This is the segment of Ryan reads Elliot Friedman's tweets. He says, Nick Bonino had a broken tibia, he told David Amber. And I don't know what a tibia is.
But a leg bone. He had a broken leg.
So he's got a broken leg. He played part of game 4 or 5.
He tried to come back on it.
And then you saw when he's carrying the Stanley Cup. He's
very gingerly, like Guy Lafleur coming down the left side. Nick Bonino's broken leg coming down the left side with the Stanley Cup.
Dragging behind him.
Is there anybody on the national... Paul just showed me this thing.
Oh.
It's Crosby kissing a bottle of Listerine.
But it's gold.
It's gold, baby.
It's Photoshop. It's not like he's doing this.
He's doing it right. No, you got
Wait
that.
a minute. Wait.
You had that on. It is on back order.
You're telling me that's real. Paul is showing us a photo of Sidney kissing the Stanley Cup or the Listerine bottle, and I'm pretty sure he brought that in. They probably shipped that to him. So that's Paul saying it's
focus right there. If he took the time to order an oversized bottle of Listerine and bring it to the rink, Game 6.
You gotta wonder with all the catfish and all the big celebritas and all the coup de grace, everything going on in Nashville, which is great.
It's fantastic.
But is it going to keep going next season?
They've had a pretty good fan support, relatively so.
It's been a nice build. It's been a build.
Well, I was going to bring up though. You talk about stuff getting thrown on the ice. What the hell with the fans? Someone threw something at Patrick Holm.
Yeah,
it looked like.
There's a lot of stuff going on the ice. Like they came so close. They had capped these, and I'm not talking about the Predators, who were great by the way. The fans in Nashville have captured the hearts and minds of Canadians everywhere because we almost it's like that movie Another Earth. It's like, oh look, there's other white people that like hockey. It's great, and we're like, wow, they're having a great time down there with the catfish. That's cool.
They're standing the whole game.
We're standing the whole game. They're a little square in front of the arena is packed. There's local celebrities everywhere. Like even some of ours, like, oh, there's Shania. She's a little plastered tonight. That was cute. But and it's great. It's awesome. You were this close. You were 9/10 of the way there where we felt bad for you. And then you booed Dracula. Now, we all don't like Dracula, but the only reason that you have a team is because of that guy.
Now, I got to disagree with you right there because it is an NHL home
tradition.
Fan base's duty to boo Gary Bettman. And he didn't get booed in, I think, L.A. one year. It was L.A. It was something like that where they just didn't get it. And it's like, you boo him. Listen, for all the good he's doing, how many lockouts is under his watch?
I don't know, like 16 lockouts.
16, 3, 16, somewhere in between.
Somewhere in between 3 and 16 lockouts.
And
I think we're locked out right now. There's no games tomorrow.
There could be a lockout because the thing's coming up and all the players are pissed off about escrow and there's still
I don't know what it is, but I want it or I don't want it. What is it? I don't know.
Well,
you got to listen to. Bob McKenzie did half his podcast about what escrow is.
Oh yeah, fine.
They boo Bettman. We don't have an issue with.
Fine,
but
I guess.
I think you and I both had probably issues with the same thing at the end, like the ref you suck. I don't mind that because they did get robbed. That goal, it should have been going to overtime.
The throwing the debris at the Penguins players is classless.
The debris and the ref you suck after the game is over.
Yeah,
and my one gripe is we're talking.
They're not going to undo the result, kiddos.
Yeah, throwing anything on the ice in excess. The fish was cool, but it felt like it was a little wait for a goal, maybe do 1 or 2 in the game, but what was the count? They were doing a count. 8, 9 late in the game.
Too many catfish.
There's little things like you're taking it just.
We haven't scored. This is my chance. I don't want to take this fish home. It stinks.
Been sitting in my shorts all night.
Penguins, catfish, and the Predators.
They are Tommy Bahama shorts. There's a lot of big people in that crowd.
The one thing,
come on.
The one thing that chaps my hide, and is we talk about they've been a good fan base for a long time. What was that?
What?
Were you going I thought you were just
a long time. That's relative.
20 years.
20 years, but they have a history of being a good, loyal, small, devoted fan base.
Yes.
And why are they booing and throwing stuff at the one player that they threw stuff at was Patrick Hornquist,
who was a serviceable
player. I'm sure they
player.
threw stuff at us.
That we saw, but he was a Predator for a long time.
Yeah, it's not cool. I'm going to chalk this up to inexperience.
Well, it's when you're losing the Stanley Cup.
Don't be like the Bruins fans. Don't be Bruins fans. Don't be You want to be loud and do the whole thing. I think that's great. I think the chance like the you suck, it's all your fault. I think it's awesome. That's great stuff. All good things. Even the catfish thing, I like that too. But Nashville fans, you're out there crying in your beer or whatever the hell you drink down south, your bourbon. I know
Sweet
you're listening.
tea.
I know you are. Next year, when the same thing happens, when Sydney comes back to town and takes the ring off your finger again, don't throw stuff on the ice. It's not cool.
That's
cool.
our one beef. But I'll tell you what is cool. With all the options out there, why is it so many people, including local sports pros, trust their eyes to image optometry? We don't have any printouts or a rundown today.
I heard the fans in Nashville all go to image optometry, and that's how they were able to pick off the Penguins players with those arms.
Dead to rights. They got them dead to rights.
Amazing.
They got them in their sights.
HD eyesight.
Could be the online prices with bricks and mortar service, or it could be the direct billing. Or it could be that they're the only ones to offer a doctor's eye exam and a complete select pair of glasses for just $89.95.
That's Alexander McGillney and Alexei Morozov to you.
An unbeatable deal that'll ensure you catch your next match in glorious HD. Or if you're a Pittsburgh Penguin, you'll catch the next piece of debris thrown over the glass.
That's right.
As you hoist the Stanley Cup. 32 pounds it weighs. Feels like a feather.
Yes.
Mike
Fisher wouldn't know. The only thing he's lifting is Carrie Underwood with her feel better sex.
He's probably
sex.
so hurt that she's carrying him up the stairs.
Yes.
Like everything's just broken.
Carrie's taking the wheel.
I mean, what else would you expect from the most affordable eye care chain in BC? Image Optometry, the official eye doctors of the Canucks, Pucks on Net, and PMAC on the street. Online at image.ca or image.ca. Imagine more for less.
I had an eye exam recently, and my eyesight is better than 20/20, so I'll never really get to experience image optometry.
That can change, David.
It can.
I had great vision once.
And then it left you.
And
I
then
stare at a
now
lot of screens.
I have the lowest prescription possible, but I have a prescription.
Well, because when we had jobs, we exploited the benefits.
Jobs.
I do notice a difference when I
This
when
is
I
your
call,
job now.
When I call rugby, they make a difference, Ryan. That's Image Optometry, image.ca.
And I hope they stick around next year. Oh, hey, I'll send a couple emails and we'll talk about that.
Oh.
We like it. We love it. We
get-
want some more of it.
they
That
get me
image
a-
optometry money.
Yes, that's right.
But I like it, I love it, I want some more of it.
Good tie in there.
I need that deal since I don't have a job with benefits anymore.
PMAX available for voiceovers and cardboard cutouts.
Dr. Brad, hook a brother up.
Dr. Brad, he can come to all your locations this summer. You can do a tour, a glossy tour, where he signs autographs. Be good. I don't make those
I could
tours.
sweep floors for you.
You're more qualified than that.
Spokesperson.
If you really want to...
Greeter.
There you
Welcome
go.
to Image Optometry. I'm PMAC off the street.
We'll talk about... There is a good thing about that the Predators fans did. And they were making anti-Mike Milbury signs.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And it was more or less like Mike Milbury should be fired or something like he...
Mike Milbury smells his own farts.
Something like that. It wasn't offensive. It's like...
Mike Milbury traded everybody who was good at all in the 90s.
So when NBC...
But he drafted an all-star team.
Oh,
he
his
had held on to them.
His scouts were great.
They probably got that guy that's working for the Penguins now.
That may have been the worst job in all of hockey in the mid 90s. You work all year, you're at all these junior games and World Junior Championship games and Junior B games in Etobicoke, and you do all this research and you go, here, Mike, I'm handing you a Stanley Cup on paper. These kids are freaking terrific. I went to Prince George and froze my ass off to watch this tall kid named Zdeno Chara. It's like... You know, and he goes, that's
great.
it was great. I'm going to trade him for Freddie Modine or some shit.
Well,
it would be
that was
horribly
Alexei
deflating.
Yashin, my friend.
Hey, there's no Yashin bashing allowed on this show. The guy wore a neck guard and a turtleneck better than Thomas Plekanec, and that's saying something.
That's true. He isn't.
I think they just stopped paying him.
The best hockey players
Like
wore
last year.
turtlenecks.
Probably.
In the 90s, because
Gretzky?
Gretzky had his cheap imitation Jumpman thing. He had the 99 logo, and he wore that. Wayne. Now Wayne's sponsored by Jack and Coke. Wayne Gretzky is drunk uncle.
He was probably crushing him with Shania Twain back there.
Oh, who you boots been under?
When we were here, there wasn't even a hockey team. Then there was a hockey team.
And then Wayne and I were so hot in the mid 90s, and now we're so old.
Anyway, so they
They look like two really hot people that are kind of melting.
Wayne was kind. I don't know if he was very.
He was good. He was good looking. Gretzky in his day was good looking.
Like a McDavid kind of way.
We did that Hawaiian dancing skit on SNL. Come on.
He looked good. So anyway.
Janet was good looking in her day. Holy shit.
And now she's really good at gambling.
Janet, allegedly, I think that may have been a cover.
So anyway, they go, they take these anti-Milbury signs to the outside where they're doing the pregame, and there's, right in camera shot, and this guy comes up to them from NBC Sports, and he goes, hey, you like this? And he takes his hat off. He shows him a hat. He goes, hey, you like this hat? Yeah, you want one? Cool. Just I'll give it to you. You give me the anti-Mike Milbury poster. You can have it back at the end of the day. And the guy's like, no, I don't want that. And it was an NBC Sports hat. So they're to bribe these guys to not.
Why would you want an NBC Sports hat?
You see this hat? This hat produces the Olympics every 4 years.
2 years, summer and winter.
I can't say anything because my current only employer is NBC Sports News Radio.
That's NBC Sports News Radio.
We Not don't sports news radio. I said it wrong.
News radio. We don't like Milbury signs, but we'll give you a free hat.
No comment. NBC, I love you.
Paul's got that peacock tramp stamp.
I'm trying out for SNL next year. Yep.
Yeah, they've had worse.
Yeah, I mean,
I know.
Can you imitate?
They had Jim Brewer.
I hate Jim Brewer. Oh man, my brother loved Jim Brewer
because he would do that tequila bit or whatever.
Oh yeah, oh man, yeah, and the Metallica thing.
Yeah, he does the Metallica. He opened up. I went and saw it. When I saw Metallica, he was the opening act. 10 minutes of heavy metal comedy.
Oh, God,
I've got all sorts of great up to date impersonations like Jimmy Stewart.
You do a Jimmy. Who the hell is Jim? Oh, from the It's
Wonderful.
From the Daily Show.
Who else you got? Bill Cosby. That's popular right now. How's that trial going? I think they do have Jell-O in prison. I think it's on Wednesdays they get the Jell-O pudding.
If he goes to jail, Jell-O is the only thing that he's going to be able to eat because somebody's going to punch all his teeth out.
Yeah, it doesn't go well for people like Bill in there.
Yeah. So I learned something else while we were watching the game about PK Subban.
Oh yeah.
The Nashville Predators have hid him from the media from the end of Game 5 through the off day, and they did not let him speak to the media.
They stashed him. They gagged him.
He did do post-game after the loss,
though. Yeah, first
and
guy out.
Full credit to him.
That
cool.
was,
I thought it was weird. You know how they had the winner hats? They had him in the loser hat and the loser T-shirt. I thought that was kind of weird.
Well, you really blew it out there, PK.
We're number 2 hat.
Yeah, we really sucked, and we really.
Hey.
So they actually did ban him, eh? That's
so
good.
this is what I was reading on Puck Dad. He goes, he skated today on Sunday in the optional skate. And he goes, per NHL media rules, that means Subban should be made available to talk. And then he goes, Subban enters the dressing room in full gear briefly before walking out. And then after he came off the ice, he was heard asking Predators PR staffers if he should talk to media. And they said, no. So, and there was also a team.
They didn't want to put any more bullets in Sidney Crosby's chamber.
There was also a team meeting, I think players only meeting after Game 5. So, we're just reading into things, but it could be very interesting to see what was happening.
Could he be on the move in the summertime?
No.
Oh, maybe.
Hey,
maybe.
There'd be some crazy story coming.
Stranger things have happened.
Because of the shirt.
Yeah, stranger things.
Hawkins Middle School.
He could live in. That's very inside, and I think that's very cool. I've been meaning to tell you about that all night.
What are you wearing? Tell the listeners.
It's a Hawkins Middle School T-shirt.
And what's that?
It's the school the kids go to in Stranger Things. Yeah.
Okay.
Picked it up down in the U.S.
There's one piece of weird Canucks news, and that was that Jimmy and Trevor took Cale Makar out for dinner after the draft combine. He's an NCAA defenseman out of Calgary. He's from Calgary.
He will be NCAA.
Which means they're going to draft him. We're not going to see him for like 6 years.
Yeah, and he's ranked 9th by Central Scouting for North American skaters. What do you think happened in that dinner? Meat and potatoes.
Jimmy Benning probably said something offensive, and Trevor Linden tried to smooth things over.
So it looks like they're going to be, positioning, maybe taking that guy. And we've heard a rumor. We haven't heard any more rumors about if they're going to be moving up in the draft, but it just seems like
you got to tune in, baby.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one. This is the other good piece of news that's in the news right now, and that's Brian Burke, everybody's favorite.
Curmudgeon.
Aardvar. What is? No, he looks like. No, what's the haircut? He looks
hedgehog.
He looks like a hedgehog. Sorry.
There you go.
And he was at I think it's like the Canada Club or whatever, where rich businessmen go to have dinner, and
it's a stonecutter meeting.
Yeah, it's kind of stonecutter. There is a Vancouver club, and kind of like it's
he's
kind
been
of like
doing these speaking engagements.
I went and I watched the Masters one year at the Vancouver club. It was fabulous.
Everything must have been really expensive.
It was free.
Yeah, well,
that's when you know you're in a nice place, is when they're not even charging you.
I was gonna say Black Ace Simon, friend of the show, Black Ace, filmed some Brian Burke speaking engagement that aired on television a number of times, and you can pick out Simon standing right behind Brian Burke. So this is like one of those things where he goes and he talks to people.
But I think he had a couple drinks in him. Because
he had a little bit of that gas in him, eh?
The
that loudmouth gas.
So he had a couple.
Him or the crowd?
I think both, because there's a couple bowls of loudmouth soup being consumed. That was on the menu. That was the second course. The
loudmouth soup.
The funniest thing that happened was he was talking about this. He's positioning. Him and the Flames are positioning to get a new rink that they don't want to pay for. And at the end of it,
Mexico's going to pay for the new rink.
It's kind of like that. And he goes,
he is very Trumpy.
Any genius out there, or any intelligent person could make sense of this. And then some guy yelled, an intelligent man would know how to tie a tie properly.
Whoa, shade.
And then he also said something along the lines of, if you don't want to get a concussion, become a swimmer or something. Like he was really shooting from the hip.
Oh man! Oh, thank you, Brian. Thank you very much. Thank you.
This has been the Truculence dinner. Coming out.
Well, the owners distanced himself from it right away. Like they came out the next day. What's his name? Murray was just like, no. We know that the province is out of money.
Yeah,
and we're gonna have to play in the Crapple Dome for a little bit longer until we get on that solar panel energy.
Which that'll be a cold day in hell.
Yeah, they're gonna cling to oil like it's no tomorrow.
Anyway,
they're gonna frack your fillings to get what they can. They're gonna bring everybody in from Alberta and go, we heard there's oil in those porcelain fillings. We're gonna hold you down and we're gonna frack you. I could just get a Tesla. Nope, we're gonna frack your fillings.
That is really, we gotta say, that's pretty good sound.
That's our live lick. That's our live licking in Calgary. Right? We need that new rink.
Okay, so we'll
frack it out.
Basically, what they're doing is they're saying, if Edmonton can,
could they just frack out like a crater in the city and then fill it with water and then boom, you got yourself a new.
They did that already. That's like why there's all those man-made lakes in Calgary.
Isn't that how they made the Saddle Dome? That's all it is.
That's why it's crushed. Yeah. They tried to frack the roof.
They just built a roof over top of this crater.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why it flooded. It's below sea level.
Oh man, when the big one hits,
don't be in the Saddle Dome.
Oh no.
So he basically is saying. Yeah, they're fine.
Home of the $5 rink beer because everybody's out of money.
We got a lot of Pucksnet listeners in Calgary, so we like you. We don't like how the Flames are positioning themselves to get a rink. What happened is
Brian Burke anyway.
They're basically saying like, well, Edmonton got a fancy new rink. Why can't we have that? Just do the deal that you did. And then the Calgary mayor and city
Johnny Gaudreau,
yeah,
Connor McDavid, same thing.
And they're basically, what it sums up is like, they don't need to revitalize the area that they want to build this rink in. They just want to build this giant monstrosity that would hold like every sport, because every sports team is owned by the same people in Calgary. So they'd want to have like just some big complex. I think they were even suggesting to have the new football stadium connected to this.
Like directly attached to it. It's one facility.
Like it's like you're building the Mall of America here.
It's it's like a community center multiplex, but it's going to cost a lot more money.
And
it's very Calgary.
Most of the money is going to be paying for the suede seats in the club section of the new Saddle Dome.
It has to smell like fresh leather in there all the time. It's a rule.
Well, the Saddle Dome now smells like
free Jack Link's jerky for everybody that gets a ticket. The ticket's made out of jerky.
Yeah, now,
that would be amazing.
That's what's going to get them in the door is the jerky tickets.
Yeah, jerky tickets.
So those jerky tickets, that cost a lot of money. Those don't just cost a couple of bucks.
Couple of $100.
So he basically says, just do the deal that Edmonton has. Like, why is this so hard to figure out? And their mayor, Naheed Nenshi, He says,
AKA reasonable human being.
reasonable.
Mayor Nenshi. Everybody loves Mayor Nenshi.
Yeah, he's lovable.
A lot of people do.
Oh, really?
I do.
Legit?
I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't
He is
like...
also trying to get the Olympics back to Calgary.
Hey.
He's a good
So
mayor.
they might need that new... Man.
When Errol was living in Calgary, he talked about... You have positive things to say about the mayor, Errol? I think he's asleep.
He's definitely asleep.
That's our captivating studio audience.
He's resting. Errol's had we've all had the same couple days.
Yeah.
Not me.
Oh, well.
Been a real bender at the old Bender family.
We were very hungover for softball today. So
I heard.
Anyway, and then she basically says negotiations require negotiating. It doesn't require saying the same thing over and over and over again.
Mexico wall, stadium tax.
It really reminds me of Donnie Trump's positioning or his negotiating tactics.
They even kind of look the same. They got the same look.
Weird hair that defies the laws of physics, and you're like, how does that look like that?
Evil superhero businessman.
Yeah, with a poorly tied tie. And Donald Trump, he doesn't know how to tie his tie because he makes it super long because he tapes
it up at the back.
That's so funny. Like that's how you know you're tying a tie wrong.
He tapes his tie up?
Yeah,
some of them. Yeah, there have been photos you can see that like he's taping the
because
Why?
he makes his tie really long because it kind of like it looks. I think he thinks it looks slimming. So it's got a really long tie, and it hangs. It's like if he was nude, it would cover his very weird.
Don't
I imagine
make this image for us or our
image
listeners.
optometry.
Oh, it's like right out of Billy Madison. Did you see those guys' balls?
Yeah, they were weird.
Weird looking.
Yeah.
He's a tall guy. He's probably buying extra long ties and just throwing him off.
Yeah. So, but it's like I can remember
So
when
Brian Trump Burke's not getting his new barn, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Burke's gonna try to fire Nenshi, but then he's gonna realize that he's not the president.
But Burke
He's
is
not the owner.
Burke is also basically saying like the city should be thanking us for proposing this, and then and we'll build this rink and we'll fill it. And then the other thing he says is, as for the city thanking the Flames when the owners pitch their Calgary Next blueprint, we should say thank you for the opportunity to spend $1.4 billion to $1.8 billion of taxpayer money on private business. I don't think so. So the city.
And that team ain't moving, no chance.
But that's all they're saying.
We'll move.
We'll move if we don't have a barn.
Man, Justin Trudeau will see an opportunity to step in. I'll score some political capital, and I'll put myself in the middle of that.
Like Harper in Quebec City.
Did he?
That's why he lost
was
the
a big
election.
part of funding the
Videotron Center. If you build it, they won't come.
There you go.
Still in Florida, bud.
21,000 going to see Quebec Rempart games.
The Rempart playing the Olympique. It's a big game. We get the Rimouski Oceanic coming in next week. It's take 2 seats night. You're gonna have 2 seats.
There's no jerky tickets in Quebec.
It's like
everybody gets a row.
It's Abbotsford Heat style seating. Everybody sits in one section because it's funnier.
Yeah.
I never went to any of those games. Is that what happened?
Yeah, so I worked a couple, but there was one other game that I was at, and this guy, there was I don't know what I was doing there. My uncle wanted to go, so I went with him, and we're sitting there watching I think it was the Rockford Ice Hogs, the Blackhawks prospects. And this guy was drunk idiot. He was awesome. He's like, wouldn't it be funny if we all sat in one section? He went to every section in the building, and we all did it. Everybody sat in one section. So the building, because the game was on TV, it was on I think didn't Shaw used to show some of them?
We kind of showed it in a way. We took the
simulcast.
Yeah, it was from a local affiliate would take I think Chicago Wolves or Rockford Ice Hog games.
But yeah, it was like that, and so the camera would pan. And there'd be nothing. It was empty arena game.
So you sat on the camera side.
Yeah, 2,000 people are huddled together in filling out one section on the cammer side, and then it's just empty.
So there's pageantry there.
Yeah, it was fun. Abbotsford went up a notch for me. I felt a real sense of community that day. It's like, drunk guy on a Tuesday, you are funny. I am going to do what you asked me to do, and I'm going to move to this new seat.
I remember a coworker of ours out in Kelowna. He's a big Buffalo Sabres fan, and when the Rochester Americans came to town, I guess he was in Abbotsford. He made an effort. He's like, I'm going to go see a Rochester Americans game. He walks up to the ticket booth, not ticket booth, day of the game, 5 minutes before the game starts. He's like, hey, can I get
to the window?
Yeah, can I get some tickets? Sure. Where do you want to sit? Oh, what's available? And she literally just said, well, everything. You can sit anywhere you want. You can sit in almost any. You could pick a row. You would probably be sitting in it.
That should have worked It shouldn't have been as bad as it was. The AHL is a great product, especially it's definitely the biggest thing to ever hit Abbotsford.
Chad Kruger, hello.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't know. It couldn't help being Flames. You could have been almost any other team, and people would have been more keen to jump on it.
I would have loved it if it was an East Coast team. We talked about this all the time.
It was weird that it wasn't the Canucks.
Yes, and it was weird that they didn't. Nothing about it was cool. Like, their name was stupid. The logo was stupid. It was just all very bland.
It was too far for a lot of people to go.
Yeah, and it's
at that time especially, that was like Canucks anything would sell. If you had made printed up Canucks jerseys with Abbotsford across the top, people would have been buying them in town here be like the first guy on board. Like, oh, I've got my brand new.
Yeah, if they literally did Abbotsford Canucks, same Orkin and just Abbotsford.
The exact same uniforms.
That would have been hot. People would have bought it, and especially Abbotsford people.
Hipsters.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I was a big fan of. I'm trying to think of a prospect that made the team.
Nicholas Jensen.
Really, really, really liked Jordan Subban.
Jordan Schrader.
Schrader, yeah.
On
Schrader.
Yeah, this is before Subban.
Yeah.
my Cody Hodgson sweater.
All in on Jacob Markstrom.
Well, that's like the Yankees AAA affiliates. Isn't there another? Or like the Pawtucket Red Sox.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's very similar, but it's not. And it's like, it's
the Iowa Cubs, same thing.
Yeah, it's like
they even have ivy on the walls at their stadium, which is amazing.
So it's neat to have that niche product that's connected.
That tie-in, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, but they screwed everything up there, and that was another thing done with taxpayer money that wasn't maybe the best decision.
I was going to say, to be fair, it wasn't a bad decision for the Canucks not to move there. It was just as far as Abbotsford was concerned, they would have benefited from it. I understand what the Canucks did. They don't want a team in the West. It makes sense to be in the East.
It makes more sense now with all these California teams that are in, but at the time there was none of that. They would have been the first boots on the ground on the West Coast, and it wouldn't have worked.
And go on.
No, I was going to say the whole plan when they built that rink out in Abbotsford. And if you go back and look online, the plan was to do an ECHL team. That was the plan. And that kind of got shelved because literally an AHL team fell into their laps.
Yeah.
Like Quad City didn't want them back, and it was like you guys can have this if you want it. Like that's kind of how it happened. Like your barn is the right size, it's brand new, it's state of the art. Like Canada,
it'll make sense down the road. We're
gonna put some teams into the West Coast. Like that's the long term plan. So they kind of got talked into it,
and it just and nothing made sense from there, and nothing in terms of promotions or marketing. Like, why would any of us want to go to an Abbotsford Heat game?
I don't know, but I was still mad when Tugboat and I worked there. They made us pay for parking and there was no food.
You're like,
I'm like, F the Giants give us parking and food, you Bush League motherfuckers.
It took us 2 hours to get here.
Yeah, I have to dial 1 to talk to anybody.
I love that it's Stanley Cup night. We're talking about the Abbotsford.
Well,
right now.
All right.
Yeah. The Penguins won. It's all well and good. Everybody saw it coming.
I think we spent a lot talking.
There's
about
really
the
not much to talk about with they won the cup. We knew they were going to win.
All of us picked the Penguins to win in 6. Did we?
I picked.
Yeah.
Gita
I wasn't on the
I'd
podcast.
have to check the tape.
Yeah, Gita and I picked 6. I know that, and I knew they would win in 6 because they have that killer. They have that killer instinct. They know what it takes to win. And when the Predators got the shit kicked out of them like that,
it was over.
And I'm like, they don't know how to come back from that. And then it's like, it was a close game. It was a very close game. But it's just like at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm gonna take Pittsburgh.
Cups in the building. Sid can smell it, man. And that's the thing. We were talking about this, but you guys were off getting pizza. Thanks for bringing me some. That, Crosby, because it's a different era. Like I made that Road Warrior joke about the goalies playing with like magazines strapped to their legs in the 1980s. So he's never going to hit those numbers. But I can't think of any other hockey player that's on his kind of level that plays as well. Both he's the best defensive player in the league at his position.
Oh yeah,
and he's the best, and he's the best offensive player.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably the most complete player we've ever seen in the sport. Like I think this year he's going to win the Selke. I'm pretty sure he's going to win the Selke, and I think he's got a very good shot at the MVP.
Yeah, Hart. He's nominated for the Hart. And him, McDavid. I think Brent Burns.
I got to go with Crosby.
Yeah, I mean,
because you take him off the Penguins and they got nothing.
I mean. Well, I was going to ask Dave, you got a few years on me. So, I remember Mario Lemieux sort of on the downward side of his career. By the time I was 8-9 years old, working his way down, he was impressive as a power forward.
Yes.
He played D, but do you think Crosby is superior to him as far as a defensive player?
Absolutely. Oh, Mario Lemieux was a disaster as a defensive player.
See, because I didn't want to judge him based on sort of what I saw because it was not his prime.
It was appointment viewing when Lemieux was in town, and I've seen him. I was lucky enough to see him play at least 3 or 4 times, and he had some good nights. But like looking back on it now, like he had other guys for that. Ron Francis, when he was with Pittsburgh, would mop up for him in that regard.
And he was an offensive juggernaut himself, one of the top.
That team should have won more Stanley Cups than it did. They should have won.
An amazing club.
They won 2.
When did he go? When did he leave for his cancer or whatever?
That was 90. I want to say it was 90.
He had some breaks, and then he was out.
93, 94. He was gone, and he came back, and then he still won the Art Ross.
And then he retired, and then he came back.
He had a stupid year. He had like 48 games and had like 120 points. It was like ridiculous. It was output that was insane. Then he retired. He came back, and he came back strong, and he like I think almost won another scoring title playing like 50 games.
He was leading the scoring race for like through Christmas. I remember that. Like for a while.
He but like I love Mario, but I don't think he touches Sid. I think Sid might be, and again this might be a controversial thing to say, and he just won a Stanley Cup, so there's colored glasses and all that. For me, he might be the 3rd best player in the history of the game right now. Like Gretz is obviously 1. Then I got to go Bobby because he changed the game or changed the way that an entire position is looked at and played. And then I might go Sid, and then I might go Mario and Gordy.
Yeah.
And then, mess. but like I think Crosby's in the 3-hole because he's Bob Gainey and he's like an unbelievable offensive player. He's the most 200-foot superstar in the sport we've ever seen today.
Yeah,
in this day and age.
Can't
right
think
now,
of one.
You're seeing something special. He's like top 5 in faceoffs. He's the first guy in, the first guy back, and that's what we worry about with the concussions. But I'm just gushing over him now. But I honestly think he might be the 3rd best player who ever lived.
Well, you can't think of points in these arguments anymore.
No,
like,
it's semantics now.
It's how they play the game and just when you watch him, everything he does is so smart and it's so patient
and subtle.
And it's just when they come into the offensive zone and they just start setting up, and he always goes to the close guy, not the far guy, and like these passes and the playing, everything is set up so perfectly, and it's just like you gotta marvel at it. It's just great to watch.
And people do point out, and I mentioned earlier, there are times where he'll disappear. We saw it. People were starting to ask, I guess was that last season, like, is Sid done? But we have to remember, like, people are super critical of this guy because he's accomplished, because we know he's capable of doing so much.
He had a slump last year.
Yeah, that's the thing. People hit these slumps, and if they're a player at his level, it gets magnified to no end, where really, like...
Yeah, he had that awful couple months, and then he still finished 3rd in the league in points, and then won the Conn Smythe Trophy.
Exactly.
So, and then all was right with the world. But like, and he is surrounded by a great cast, but so is Mario, and so is Wayne. But then you wonder, like, how great would Malkin have been if he wasn't playing with Sid, because he's not playing against the top pairing a lot of the time. And would a guy like Gino even be in North America right now if he was drafted by another team? Or would he already be in Russia?
Yeah.
Would he be a comparable player to Ovechkin, where he's maybe not the type of guy you want leading the charge, which has been brought into question about Alex Ovechkin?
Would it be an interesting twist of fate if Malkin was the only guy in Washington and Ovi was playing with Sid in Pittsburgh? Might be the exact.
That would be insane.
You could almost swap them out.
Weren't they drafted the same year?
No, Ovi went the year before Sid.
No, Ovi and Gino.
Yes, they were 1-2.
Yeah, can you imagine if it? That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, that is like a whole other. Whoa, like that's a mind freak.
So we'll
Chris Angel mind freak.
We'll wrap up this week's podcast and do a nice quick little 5 minutes for Bank. But it's been a long day. Some of us have been hungover. We had an emotional yet victorious softball game.
We taste tested Kraft Dinner versus Annie's last night.
No one invited me to any of this stuff.
Split decision.
Oh, you
3-3 on the taste test.
Somebody, I think it was Pagani, sent me a text. It's like, ugh, China Dave would like Annie's or something like
What
that.
a low life.
So we'll wrap up this week's podcast. Thanks again to our latest backer on Patreon, Andrew from the Bronx, our local, or our resident Islanders fan. Thank you so much for always listening. He's always been a constant listener.
Vancouver doubles as the Bronx in some films. If you've watched Rumble in the Bronx,
Yeah, because there's North Shore Mountains. Way to go, Jackie
screams
Chan.
Vancouver.
So if he comes to hang out, he'll feel right at home. He'll know exactly where to go.
Oh yeah, we got a Stanley Park too in the Bronx.
And if you want to support the show on Patreon, throw us a couple of bucks. You can listen to our show coming up. 5 minutes for paying.
$5 for 5 minutes for paying.
Yeah,
Is that
$1 a minute.
It's like a peep show.
Although you get 4 or 5 of them a month.
Yeah, exactly.
regularly,
So it's
That's
a
how
good
often I
bargain.
go to the peep show.
And as you know, and I'm not here begging for handouts, but at one point the podcast, for most of it, was 100% gainfully employed. Now we're at about 70-60%.
That Alberta syndrome is starting to leak into British Columbia.
Leak into the podcast. So if you want to help us out for free,
Brian will start paying me maybe.
Yeah. Hey, I'll give you I'll throw you a couple
of
bucks.
Thanks, guys.
Go and subscribe on iTunes and rate and review on iTunes. That's the best way to counteract shitbag Steve's algorithm. That's a line from a listener. And that's the best way to help us if you don't want to give us a couple of bucks. And you can like us on Facebook and Instagram and key to maybe your Snapchat.
Tweet us, because we got a lot of Twitter response to last week's episode. It's always fun seeing the flare-up of Pucks on Net tweets.
I'm just thinking about empty, sad Bridgestone Arena right now.
There's just...
smells like catfish, and there's just some guy pushing a broom.
And then the guy's drinking the mouthwash to get drunk.
Yeah.
Because he's got to
sweep
sweep
up
up all
these three in here. Yeah, I can get loaded off.
Sweeping up all the cat guts or catfish guts. So yeah, if you I do love when people tweet us about the show, not cat guts. Tweet us again. Just get a listen.
Whoa.
What is going on?
All right, we're gonna go to 5 minutes for paying.
Wrap it up.
5 minutes for paying.
Move,